Good morning. Make sure I'm on here. I think I'm good. Good to be in the house of the Lord. Appreciate you being here with us this morning. Thank you for coming. We're going to go back to Genesis. Last week, we talked about creation a little bit with Adam and Eve and whatnot, other things. 2 weeks ago, we were on the flood, Genesis chapter 6. And last week, I backed up and done some other stuff out of Genesis. Now we're going to go back to chapter 7. I hate to do that, but I told you last week that we've had so many visitors the week before last. I just didn't know how people would take it. And you would probably be all right, but I just didn't know how other people visiting might take it. So I waited the last week to do what I did. But Genesis chapter 7. I'm going to read a couple verses out of chapter 6. And listen, everything in the Old Testament you find in the New Testament. Now, this is my thoughts, what I'm going to tell you today, some of this. It's what I think. I mean, there's some things, you just can't prove. I mean, that's just the way it is. But Genesis chapter, I'm going to pick up in 7:1. I'm going to just read 2 verses real quickly. Genesis 6:13 says, "And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me. For the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. And behold," in verse 17 says, "And I, behold, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die." Now, we'll pick up here in 7. So, I told you a couple of weeks ago that I felt like that there's some say that Enoch is raptured in chapter 5. He's called up to heaven. And many say, well, that's a picture of the rapture of the church before the tribulation period. And I hope that's right. Didn't say it wasn't. But if that's a picture of the church being raptured, then I believe this deal with the ark is a picture of God carrying his people through the tribulation period. Now, stick with me, and I'll try to explain. We'll have to go to Revelation. We'll go here and there. But we'll read a few verses out of 7. But I believe it's a picture of that. I mean, it said the end of all flesh come. I know people say, well, Noah preached 120 years. The Bible doesn't say that. No, it just don't. I'm not telling you it didn't. I can't dispute that because I know in the New Testament it calls him a preacher of righteousness. I understand completely. But listen here, I believe this, when you reach this point in history, in the past and in the future, when you reach this point, I believe in choice, I believe in whosoever will, sure I do. I'm not saying that at all this morning, but when it comes to this point, that time's over with. You've had your opportunity up to this time. In the future, up to this point. It says in 7:1 says, "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for I have seen thee righteous before me in this generation." I mean, God tells him the door is open, and God says, "Noah, just bring your whole family, bring your whole family, and come into the ark, because I have found you or seen you before me righteous in this generation." Verse 2. "Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and the female, and of the beasts that are not clean too, and the male and his female." So, the clean animals, he took in more than he did the unclean animals. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is on the other side of the flood, he was going to sacrifice some animals to God. Maybe that was God's whole intention all the other time. But not only was it just for sacrifice, the unclean animals reproduce in bigger groups than the other ones do. To give you an example of something we're familiar with, a deer might have 1 to 3 at a time, but a pig may have 15 or 20 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A lot. You know where I'm coming from. So they would reproduce. But God always has a plan. Always. You won't never catch God. In verse 3, "Fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and his female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth." Verse 4. Now listen, we'll cover more scripture than I like to, but I do want to get through to what I'm trying to say. And God's telling him what's coming. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy off the face of the earth. God said, I'm going to destroy everything. 40 is a type of judgment or temptation period or judgment period a lot of times in the Bible. And God said, listen, I'm going to destroy it all. Because people has made their choice. You remember, up to this point in life, people has been wicked. Up to this point in this story, people have been wicked. And God, they had their opportunity. And only Noah and his generation chose God. The rest of them choose to live a lifestyle they wanted to live. The choice has been made. God said, I'm going to destroy them from off the earth. Skip down to verse 6. I don't want to read every verse. I should have highlighted the ones I wanted. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. That tells us a time frame. We know he was 600 years. We know when he would get off, he'd be 600. 1 year, be a year and 10 days, I think. Whatever, a little over a year, I think it was, if I done the math right. Now let's come on down. I'm missing. Hold on, give me a minute. I got too much on my mind. Yeah, I know. I'm just look on down and it came to pass. Verse 12, maybe. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And again, a picture of judgment. Verse 13. In the self-same day there entered Noah, Shem, Japheth, and the sons of Noah, and the sons of his wife, and the 3 wives of his son with them into the ark, his complete family. Verse 14. They and every beast after their kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, and every bird of every sort. How in the world, they got on this ark. They got in. It's amazing. Only God could do that to get all those animals. I want to tell you that Noah knew what every kind of animal was. I couldn't name all the animals today if I had to. You might could, but I couldn't. God sent them. God put it in to the animals, and I believe that spoke to them. He brought, every one of them. Now, Noah had to gather all the food. They had to take everything. Imagine putting everything on there for a year of your life. Now, he had no idea how long he'd be, unless God told him, and don't tell us that. But if you had to put everything in a boat for you for a year, just for you would be a chore, much less for all the animals. To feed everything he had to eat for that year. But it's a picture, and we're going to go to Revelation in just a moment. It's a picture of God taking care of his people to keep seed alive. After everything was destroyed, they could replenish it. They could replenish the earth. It's a picture. But God put everything they need. Listen, God's in control. He knows what you need. He put everything. They didn't nothing about this. They didn't get on that boat 2 months down the road and have a problem. They didn't know what to do. God already had a plan. He knows what he's doing. And he put everything together. Listen, I don't know how all that happened. You think about it. I'm not going to get no details, but, we have a bathroom nowadays. Can you imagine all the animals on one boat? Just I won't elaborate on that, but you get the picture. Not only that, I know there was water outside the boat. I understand that. But what about water to drink for a year? Most of the water in the earth, at least nowadays, there's more of it salt. Nowadays, I don't know what it was like in Noah's day, but 97% of the water on the earth is salt, is what I've read and understand. Only 3% fresh. But they never run out of anything. I don't know how they did it. You could speculate, and I could too. I'm just telling you that God knew what he was doing, and God made plans, and God took care of it, and brought Noah through the flood. And God did that. Now let's look down Verse 16. And they went in, male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded them. And the Lord shut him in. God sealed him in. God put him in there. God closed the door. And God said, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to see you through what you listen to. You know, when God, you know, I know we go through. I'd consider this a bad time in life. I mean, I don't know what you think about it. But I would think that would be a trying time. I don't know how you feel about getting shut up in a boat for a year there. I mean, but me, that would be a trying time, just like we face trying times. It's true. God may not always deliver us from the trouble that we face ahead, but I'll tell you this much: when He's in it, He'll deliver you through it. He'll make a way through it. Period. He didn't say just because you're saved, you won't never have to deal with it. It doesn't tell us that. But whatever we face in life, He'll see us through it. Revelation chapter 12. God will see you through. Don't make any difference what it is. Now I had to cover the whole chapter to make it make sense to you. And I hate to have to read that much, but just bear with me. You won't understand it if I don't tell you what the whole. And I'll do it quickly. Revelation chapter 12. We'll see this picture of what I'm trying to tell you in Genesis chapter 6, 7, 8. We'll see that in something similar in the New Testament, in Revelation chapter 12. Some of this has already happened in chapter 12, but some of it's future. And you had to get to the end to see what I'm talking about. So just stick with me. John said, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. That's referring to Israel. If you remember way back, and we'll get to it later, that Joseph saw the sun and moon and stars bow down to him. We'll get there eventually. But this represents Israel, a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed. It's her, as a her. So, verse 2. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth pain to be delivered. This is talking about Israel bringing forth Jesus. This verse is referring to Jesus. And she cried, and all this has happened now, already passed, but Jesus was coming. And right before this time, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. This is the devil, the Antichrist. Verse 4. His tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now, they're talking about devouring Jesus when it's born. But before that happens, this is where we get where the devil left and took a third of the angels with him. That part is probably already taking place at this time in this text, from what I understand. So verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was called up to God and to his throne. That is talking about Jesus. That could be nobody else in Scripture but Jesus. And that's already happened. Everything we've talked about so far has already happened. Verse 6. Now, this is where, and it's going to tell some future events. This is it here. Now listen, we just talked about Noah and God just taking care of Noah through the flood, through the troubles, through the trials. Now there will come a time in Daniel chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 3, that Michael the archangel stand up and there'll be a time of trouble like there's never been before on earth. I personally believe it to be the middle of the tribulation period. That's just my thoughts. At that time, he'll stand up. You know, people always say, well, Gabriel's going to blow the trumpet. No, not according to the Bible. It's Michael. It's backwards. It's Michael. And he says, at that time, thy people will be delivered. Then you come here to Revelation chapter 12. This ties with Matthew 24 and Luke 21. Where you remember we talked about goodness, my tongue's tied. When the devil or when the Antichrist walks in the temple one day in the middle of the tribulation period, he'll walk in. He'll profess himself to be God. He'll stop them from doing any other sacrificing, and he'll be the man in charge. That's the middle of the tribulation period. The first 3.5 won't be that bad. The last 3.5 be where all the major trouble. That's when this happens. Everybody with me so far? And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place, what's the word? Prepared of God, that he should feed her there 1,260 days. That's 1,260 days. On a 30-day calendar in a month, that's 3.5 years. God, everything's set up. God knows what he's doing. He prepared a place. He prepared an ark for Noah. He's preparing an ark for these people, for his people later. Verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Now, when all this happens, my belief, and we'll get there, I promise, I'm hurrying, trying. So what's going to happen is when Satan walks in, abomination of desolation is what I was trying to think of a minute ago. It wouldn't come to mind. In the middle of that tribulation period, when the Antichrist walks in and professes himself to be God and stops sacrificing and makes everybody sacrifice him, at the same time that the Antichrist does that, I believe the devil does this. He's took over at this time. He's took over on earth. At this point in the tribulation period, at that time, he'll come back to heaven one more time. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. I mean, there'll be war. I believe this is a future event. This part myself. And there's a big war in heaven. The devil said, "Well, I took over earth. Everything I got on earth is mine. I took it from the Jews. It's all about me." And he'll go to heaven and try to do the same thing one more time. One more time. And it says, and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels. There'll be war in heaven. The Bible explains it plain. War in heaven. Verse 8. And prevailed not. That's it. He prevailed not. Neither was there place found any more in heaven. That's the last time the devil will ever go to that area where, we see in the Old Testament where he's walking to and fro and come up with the sons of God, and, this will be his last trip. Be final. He won't do it no more after this. That'll be it. He won't prevail. But this there, if you knew you were going to fail, you'd probably still give it your best shot. And that's exactly what he'll do, but he won't prevail. He will fail. Verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So he ain't going to prevail. He's going to fall back to earth. Verse 10. We getting there. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is comes. Am I missed a verse? All right, that's all right. I thought I skipped one. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation, and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of the brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. So he's been cast out. Now this is the middle of the tribulation period. He's been cast out, and he's back down. Verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, for they loved not their lives unto death. Verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of all the sea. For the devil is come down down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he have but a short time. Now this is in the middle of the tribulation period. I mean, he knows it's 1,260 days just like we do. He knows that. So he'll come back down. And we're talking about a time of trouble. Even in Daniel, it says there'd be a time of trouble like never been before and never will be. In Daniel chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 3, it tells you that. But he'll have a short time. We think it's bad now. When he gets after Israel in the middle of the tribulation period, he's coming after with everything he's got. Verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. He's talking about Israel. He persecuted Israel. Verse 14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle. The devil's going to get after with everything he's got, everything. And it says to the woman, to Israel. I don't know this, but I sure hope that's America. I hope that great. We've been known for, ever since we've been a nation, been known as the eagle, and this word here is great eagle, which means mega eagle. I don't know that. I just said I hope. That she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is what? Nourished for a times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. For 3.5 years, through the great, he's going to cause 2 wings of a great eagle to pick her up and fly her into the wilderness. That's why the devil's after her. Listen, verse 15. Just interesting choice of words for me. And the serpent was cast out of his mouth water as a what? Flood. After the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by what? The flood. Verse 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. I believe that just like Noah's in the boat in the Old Testament, and God, and he still went through the flood, but God took care of him, he nourished him, he watched over him, he took care of him, he got him to the right place. I believe it's a picture of the future in this Revelation chapter 12, where God will do the same thing with his people Israel through the tribulation period. They'll go through some difficult times. I mean, they say if you're on the housetop, according to Matthew 24, Luke 21, if they're on the housetop, they don't have time to come back down inside and go get clothes or go get food they're going to be in worse shape than what Noah was in. Noah had some time to prepare and get things ready. They won't have no time. But even with them not being able to prepare and do nothing, God said he'd take care of them for 3.5 years. Probably triple the time that Noah spent on the boat. Probably. If you do the math, I'm sure it is. But God's going to take care of them. God's going to... Everything you find in the Bible, I'm telling you, everything you find, there's something there. We may not see it. And let's go back to Genesis chapter 7:17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased. I mean, it just, remember we just seen the flood where he cast out a flood to the people, and I thought that was just an interesting choice of words. It might not be water. I'm not telling you that. I just thought it was an interesting choice of words for me, how he would use those words. But and the flood was 40 days upon the earth. The waters increased and bear up the ark. The very thing that destroyed, the rain that destroyed everybody all the way around, everybody, saved Noah and his family. You remember when we talked about in the beginning of Genesis that he separated the waters above the firmament from the ones under the firmament? Now, it had never rained before at that time. I think all that water, when the flood came, it came. I mean, I know 40 days is per se is a long time. I understand that. But to cover this world with the water in 20 foot above the tallest mountain is a lot of water. And I do believe it was a worldwide flood. I know people don't teach that. But I believe it was a worldwide flood, period. I believe that God destroyed everybody. He said, in fact, what it did say, and I don't know if I've already passed it or if it's in this text. He destroyed everything that was on dry ground. Now let that sink in. Let that sink in. I didn't say that. God said it. He destroyed, and that's the exact words it used. He destroyed everything on dry land. Water's always a lot of times a picture of spirit. And it just bear the ark up. I've read up on this. There's been people like captains in the Navy. I read something on him one time. He said that it was impossible for the ark to capsize or turn over is what he meant. Impossible. I don't know if there'd ever been. I don't think there'd probably ever been a boat built at that time. I don't know. I mean, we don't know everything. The Bible don't tell us everything. It was built with no steering mechanism whatsoever at all. It's not there. God pushed it in the direction He wanted it to go. And the wind. Wind's another representation of the Spirit, pushing us in the way we need to go if we'll just be obedient to it. Isaiah 59:19. I didn't give them that. The preacher brought this up. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and His glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Amen to that. I mean, God was in control of this thing, man. I mean, He was just in control. It might not have been what Noah wanted to do in the 600th year of his life. I don't know. But He did it because God said do it. There may be times we don't understand. I mean, listen, I can look over my life. There's some things I just can't figure out, Brother Norman. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I just look over my life sometimes and I say, God, I don't understand. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm being honest. God don't understand. I'm not going to stand up here this morning and tell you that I got everything figured out and I'm in the perfect will of God. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that I want to be. I want to be. But listen, you say it a lot when you stand up and tell somebody you're in the perfect will of God. I'm just telling you. I don't think you'll ever hear me say that. Not on purpose anyway. But with saying all that, I feel like I'm in the will of God. I mean, I really do. I didn't say I was perfect. No, not saying that at all. But I still don't understand back on life. You just look on it. You just don't understand it. Who was it? Preacher, you might have said this the other day. I've heard it before, but I think I heard you say it. You live life forward, but you only stand it in reverse. I believe you said it. I'm not sure that you did, but I think it was you. I've read that before. I wrote that down. You know, life has to be lived forward, but it can only be understood in reverse or backwards or whatever. And it can be understood. Maybe some things I won't never understand. There may be some things I do understand in a few years. Who knows? But where He leads me, I want to go. Where He wants me to go, I want to go. What He wants me to do, I want to do. Because He won't never fail me. See, the devil might have took him out there on a boat right there and wound up, let him stay out there 2 or 3 years and killed them all. God didn't do that. God took care of them. I don't understand everything about that, but God led them. God carried them the way He wanted to go. I ain't going to get through this, so I'm going to slow down a minute. You know, it's going to be Genesis chapter 8 for to get off the boat, technically. But he stayed on that boat over a year, and he sent birds out, and one of them come back. The dove, the second time, I think she went out. The raven, I think, went out and then come back. He feeds on dead animals, dead stuff. The first one. That ought to tell you something, the first one. The second one went out and come back with an olive plucked off of a tree. I mean, man, that stands for Israel. That stands for Jesus. Really, it can stand for Jesus, the olive. In Romans chapter 11, we're the wild olives that's been grafted in. That's us. The wild olives. I mean, it's a reference to Jesus. Ain't that amazing that He went and He plucked off an olive leaf? Of all the plants on, I mean, there's thousands of plants on earth and flowers. Jerry, what is the chance of Him coming back with an olive leaf unless God was in control? And the dove represents the Spirit. But even then, he didn't get off. And he waited a few days. And he went and he took the wind out and he looked and it was dry land, but he still didn't get off. Man, I'd have been so anxious to get off that boat, Mr. Larry. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. But if you read this in there, he sat there and waited on God to say, God spoke. Said it's time to get off. I mean, he'd been sitting on still land for a good while. And that's the other thing. The Bible's not clear. It just said it come to rest on the Mount Ararat. I don't know. Mountains to me look straight up. To me. I mean, I ain't saying they ain't flat mountains. I'm sure I don't know. But it's amazing to me where he said it had to get it on flat ground on a mountain, something that's that big. I don't believe he set them in there upside down. I don't believe that. The Bible's not clear. It don't say. It just says it come to rest. But somehow or another, God, he made it. He made it where if it had been, anybody ever been stuck on a boat, got out and left in the tide? I don't know if any of y'all's ever done that, but I've done it a few times. Doing something and look around the boat sitting on dry land, like hunting or something like that. Sitting there like that right there for 6 hours till the tide comes back in. This water weren't coming back to level it up, Preacher David. I mean, that was the end of it. God said he'd never do that again by water. But he said it on flat ground somehow or another. But I mean, the Bible don't clear it. It's just amazing to me how you can put it on a mountain. Listen, if he'd sat out there in the wilderness, I wouldn't have thought nothing about it. But finding 450 foot by whatever it was, 75 foot by 45 tall, it was, finding that to sit on level ground, that's just amazing me on a mountain. But that's right, God did it. That was my next, that's what I'm getting to, Mr. Larry. It had to be where the door could open. That was my next thing I was getting to. That's exactly right. He's exactly right. He does say that. Make rough. But that's just amazing. They had to be able to open the door. I mean, they could have got turned around backwards and the door been up against the mountain. What would they have done? Just saying. I'm just trying. I know that's simple, and I know you may, well, Lord, that's crazy. But I'm just telling you. You try to do it on your own. But God, I mean, if Noah would have been driving it, where would it have been? That might not make sense to you, and I know it's simple, and I hate it, but I'm following the God. That's all I know to tell you. That just amazes me how God did it all. I know we live in this a difficult time, but listen, and I know bad things can happen to good people. I hear about it all the time, but listen, God will see us through what we're facing if we trust in Him. I know bad things happen. I understand. But God will give you grace. That's exactly right, to get through what you're facing. I mean, God's able. I mean, we just need to realize that God can do anything, and He will do it if we'll let Him. Noah just give it to God and just got in the boat. Sometimes we ought to just give it to God and get in the boat and get on it and let God do it. I mean, because God kept him on there over a year, and anyway, personally, the Bible don't say. I think he didn't get off the boat till God opened the door, and I don't think he beat it down. That's just me. I think when God finally did speak, I believe it's in Genesis chapter 8, when God finally did speak, He told him to get off the boat. I believe the door come open. And they walked out on dry land. God will see you through what you're going through. It make no difference what it is. God will see you through it. Trust in Him. Difficult times is going to come. I know it. Perilous time. We're there. We're living in them. I believe that. I believe if we've ever seen a time we live in 2 Timothy chapter 3, we live in it now. There's no also in the last days that perilous times will come. I believe we're there. But we don't have to live like that, like he's talking about in 2 Timothy. I don't quote that verse or that chapter. My granddad used to quote the whole thing. But there was always 4 words that he never stopped. And I didn't think about this after he died, and he quoted it all the time. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 6 or 7. About men being lovers of their own selves, love for pleasure more than lovers of God, and having a form and fashion of godliness, but denying the power thereof. But right after it says that, there's 4 words. And that's just stuck out with me more than the rest of the chapter. From such turn away. It may be going on, but it don't mean you got to do it. Pull it up. I'll quit. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 6 or 7. I don't remember how many. And I'll quit. Make sure I'm... 1 through 5, technically. 2 Timothy chapter 3, 1 through... I'll go ahead and start reading while they catch up. It says, this know also in the last days perilous times shall come. Verse 2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. One more. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Them next 4 words right there, everything he said, you don't have to be like that. It says, from such turn away. It may happen to everybody, but you don't have to be involved in that. What did you say, preacher? I'm sorry. Preacher said verse 6. I knew there was 6 or 7 when they were together. For this sort which are they that crept into houses and led captive city women laden with sin, led away with divers lust, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Ever learning. Listen, we live in an information age. People are smarter than per se they've ever been, or at least they think they are. Smarter than they've ever been, but don't know God. Radio, I don't know why I'm going to say this, but I was listening to a broadcaster, I'll say that, a baseball game just recently, just to show you people, and this man's educated, just to give you an example. The other announcer was a younger guy, and they said, well, that picture's from Rehoboth, such place. I don't remember what it said. The older guy is talking, looks at him, are you sure you got the right pronunciation of that? And the guy says, yeah. I looked it up, and I'm sitting there thinking, if you'd been in Sunday school, you'd know what Rehoboth is. You know what I mean? It's what I was thinking. Ever learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. I'm telling you, many shall run to and fro. I mean, what is it? Is it? But thou, Daniel, shut up the word, seal the book, even to the times of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Daniel 12:4. It's there. We're there, church. We need to get on the ark and let God do the driving. And he'll take us through whatever we're going through in life. Just trust. I'm sorry, a little bit over time. Anybody got a question or a comment? Go ahead, preacher.